What an arrogant human kind of question to ask. That an angel of God would be on your side? Come on. I'm on God's side. So you got a choice. Are you going to be on his side with me? Or are you going to be on some other side? See, the question is not whether or not God is going to help you get through this issue or this problem or this struggle. The question is whether or not you are going to be with God as he takes you through some kind of struggle or pain or hardship, even into a promised land that has a major roadblock right in the middle. And so here's a lesson for us. It goes like this. For God to give us treasure, we must know where we stand. We stand for him, not he for us. We stand for him, not he for us. So, if God's going to give us treasure, it can't be us saying, God, this is the treasure I want. Bring it on. God, there's a city over there and I want to conquer it, so you bring me that treasure. God, there's a Lamborghini out there and it would be sweet to drive that thing for a few months. So would you let me have that thing? You know, this is not about us getting God on our side. This is about us getting on God's side. He's got something going on, and we need to join him in it. But there's another thing. See, this angel looks at Joshua. And Joshua has just acknowledged who the angel is. And the angel says to him what he needs to do. And the first thing he needs to do is take off your shoes. That dirt's holy. Joshua's like, what? I'll stand over here. That dirt's holy. So no, take off your shoes. That dirt's holy. He said, well, I'll get away from that. I'm coming over here. How's this now? Nope, that one's holy too. What is it? Is God somehow a fan of this particular location? How wide does Joshua have to draw the circle in order for him to move away from the holy ground? Because, you know, he's got smelly feet. He doesn't want to take those things off. How far does he have to go in order to get away from the holy ground? But that's the point. See, the angel doesn't say, okay, that spot's holy. Where you're standing is holy ground, because he's standing on the earth. And dirt is holy because God owns it. That's just it. He's standing. That means he's in a holy place. God owns everything. The angel says, okay, listen, I'm not on your side, I'm on God's side. You need to be on God's side. And oh, by the way, he owns where you're standing. He owns Jericho. He owns the wilderness. He owns the promised land. And remember what God said a long time ago, he is going to give these things to you. And so then he gives him instructions and he says, this is what you're going to do. You're going to march around the city one time. Then you're going to go to bed. And the next day, you're going to march around the city one time. Then the next day, you're going to march around the city one time. And then the next day, you're going to march around the city one time. And then the next day, you're going to march around the city one time. And then the next day, you're going to march around the city one time. But on the seventh day, you're going to march around that city 7 times. And when you get to the end of the 7th time, you're going to blow some trumpets, you're going to make some noise, you're going to hoot and holler, you're going to stomp the ground, you're going to do whatever it is you want to do, to shout as loud as you can, and God is going to just make those walls fall right down to the ground. Okay? You know, why does God do weird stuff like that? It's because he owns it. And he's trying to tell Joshua, there ain't nothing you can do to make this happen. I am giving it to you. Let's look at Joshua chapter 6 here, because Joshua relays these instructions to his people. And he's now telling them, chapter 6, verse 15, Joshua's telling them, and it says, on the 7th day they got up at daybreak and marched around the city 7 times in the same manner, except that on that day they circled the city 7 times. The 7th time around, when the priest sounded the trumpet blast, Joshua commanded the people, shout, for the Lord has given you this city. The city and all that is in it are to be devoted to the Lord. Only Rahab, the prostitute, and all who are with her in her house shall be spared, because she hid the spies we sent. But keep away from the devoted things, so that you will not bring about your own destruction by taking any of them. Otherwise you will make the camp of Israel liable to destruction and bring trouble on it. All the silver and gold and the articles of bronze and iron are sacred to the Lord and must go into his treasury. This is the thing that I can't grasp if I'm there. Not only is God going to make the walls fall down miraculously, but he's not giving us any of the spoils. We have just lost the manna. We need something. Come on, God, throw me a bone here. We're hungry. And God says, no, I am giving you this city, but it is not yours to take. I am giving you the whole promised land. This city is mine. Completely destroy everything you find there. And take all the gold and the silver, the things that can't be destroyed, and put them in the temple treasury for that time when you build the temple. And I just imagine if I was there with a family and I had hungry kids, and they're like, Dad, the manna was terrible, but at least it was something. And what do we have tonight? Well, I don't know. Jericho's got a bunch of food, but we can't take any of their food because, we're supposed to burn it all. They've got some animals and stuff, but we can't kill them and cook them because we're supposed to destroy it all. I don't know what we're going to do. See, for God to give us treasure, we must be willing to trust his timing. Go ahead and write that down. We must be willing to trust his timing. Because, see, God is saying to the people, here is an entire land flowing with milk and honey, the Bible tells us. There are vineyards there that you didn't plant. There are all kinds of food that you can just take and eat. They've already had a whole Passover meal, and they didn't have any place to plant any food. So where'd that food come from? They must have just found it. It's got to be around there somewhere. This land is so amazingly prosperous, so wonderfully prosperous, that all you have to do is just walk around and you'll find some food. And so you don't have to be greedy about this first thing. God says, this first fruits of the land is mine. This first harvest of all the cities that are going to be here is mine. I'm giving you the whole land. I'm not giving you this. Joshua chapter 7. But the Israelites acted unfaithfully in regard to the devoted things. Achan, son of Carmi, the son of Zimri, the son of Zerah of the tribe of Judah, took some of them. So the Lord's anger burned against Israel. And it tells us the story about how Joshua now is going against the city of Ai. And as he sends people to the city of Ai, they realize they don't need to take a whole massive army. They just send a few thousand there, but they are routed. They cannot defeat this tiny little city of Ai. And they come back, and Joshua lays down on the ground on his face, and he cries out to God, and he says, God, why have you brought us